Pretty cool sweatshirt, huh? Yeah. Happy October, Film Club. I'm in a different place. That happens sometimes when you're just so popular you have to travel everywhere. Yeah, I'm in a hotel, and so Groot's not even here. Groot stayed home to watch the kids. But we in this here film club. Wait, have you never been here before? Oh my God. Hello, I'm Carson. I usually sit here with my buddy Groot. He watches all the movies with me, but as I said, I'm in a hotel, so he's not here. But we're the Film Struck Film Club. We watch a movie every week, and then we do one of these, and then we watch another movie. It's a really great way to experience older films, international films, things that maybe you've been putting off for a long time, thinking maybe I should watch that someday, but here we are. We watched one of those films this week to start our October films. And so the Criterion Channel, which if you don't have, you should get, it's great. They put out Universal Horror, as in the Universal Studios monsters, Dracula, Invisible Man, Wolfman, and our boy Frankenstein, who we watched the sequel of the original 1931 Frankenstein. We watched the 1935 sequel, The Bride of Frankenstein. It's directed by your boy James Whale. Everybody loves James. He directed the first Frankenstein. He directed The Invisible Man with Claude Rains. This guy's no slouch, right? This guy helped put these movie monsters on the map. And some of these guys might not have ever made it to the screen if James Whale wasn't killing it for Universal. Have you seen the first Frankenstein? Because whether you have or haven't, it doesn't really matter. I'm sure you know the story. Dr. Frankenstein wants to play God, and so he digs up a couple of bodies, sews them together, uses lightning and his good buddy Igor, and brings the monster to life. The monster, of course, played by Boris Karloff. He's the shit, isn't he? Boris Karloff and James Whale reunited for The Bride of Frankenstein. And what I thought was really cool, if you watched the film this week, you did not need to see the first one because there's a really clever previously on at the beginning of this movie. It's Lord Byron and Mary Shelley and I guess her husband sitting around talking about how great her story Frankenstein was, whatever, and that she should do more. And so she kind of cleverly is like, well, there is a little bit more, but what happened last time? And then we see footage from the first film. And it just kind of perfectly pieces together exactly where we are now. And Bride of Frankenstein starts pretty much exactly where the first one leaves off. Not sure if you could tell, but the woman playing Mary Shelley is our bride so much later in the film. Way later than I anticipated. But yeah, I think because she's just such a tiny little part at the end of the movie, maybe they were like, hey, why didn't you play Mary Shelley at the beginning? I don't know. I don't know how that stuff happens. But yeah, before I ever watched this movie, I was convinced that this one was like all about the monster and his new mate. But to my and maybe your surprise, the bride is in the last 5 minutes of this movie, and that's it. Which kind of cracked me up because she's such an iconic cinema character. I mean, there's probably a million people with a tattoo of the Bride of Frankenstein on them because she has that incredible hair with the cool white lightning bolt thing in her hair. Such a cool look. I can't believe that they just gave it to us for the last 5 minutes. But of course, I've, spoiled it and jumped all the way to the end. But before we do that, let's just touch on a couple of the cool things. I really liked the previously on. I know I already mentioned it, but I thought it was just really cool because I was kind of kicking myself that I didn't rewatch the first one before this, and I was really glad to not need to. Boris Karloff, whoa, right? I always liked his Frankenstein, but because I had never seen this film, I had never fully fallen in love with his Frankenstein, which I totally did. And there are very sweet moments in the first film, but he speaks in this sequel, and he's like trying to put a couple more things together, I guess. He was just so afraid of fire in the first one, and now he's like saying things like, smoke, good, drink, good. I love when he meets the guy, the violin player guy. Spectacular scene where we meet this blind man who is just like Mr. Rogers with a violin. He's the sweetest guy ever and invites the monster right in and they become best friends and it's like one of the sweetest scenes in a movie I've ever seen. There's also, I'm jumping all over the place, but there's some wild special effects in this movie, particularly with the mini people, right? There's the other doctor and I forget his name. It's like Dr. Pistorius or something. I don't know. He wants to team up with Dr. Frankenstein and make a mate for the monster. He's also like, bro, I've been doing my own little making humans. And we see all these little glass jars of all these different people. He makes the king and the ballet dancer and the mermaid and all these things. But it's just like such a cool showcase of special effects. I mean, that whole sequence still looks great, particularly when he takes those tweezers and picks up the king. I was like, 1935. Look at you guys getting it. Yeah, I mean, like, I really don't have a whole lot to say about this movie. It's not really all that scary. It is, like, kind of perfectly spooky. It's one of those things that, like, if you're having a Halloween party, it's a great thing to, like, just have on mute in the background. But that's not to say that you shouldn't watch it with sound and sit down and watch it like a real movie, because it's not very long. I think it's like an hour and 15 minutes long or something like that. And it's just a delight. It's such a treat. It has so much more heart and humor than I was anticipating. I was kind of, geared up for something a little more spooky, but this like element of camp that appears in this film that I had read and had heard was like part of what makes this movie so great. Really did make it so great. I absolutely loved the humor. And I don't know her name, but she's like a little bit part. She's like the maid or something, and she's one of the townspeople at the beginning that's like starting shit. But she was just like such a great little character actress to be in the supporting cast. Every time she came on screen, I was just like, this lady's killing it. But yeah, man, it's like, what are you gonna do? It's a Universal monster movie, and it's just so nice to see people that are so good at it, like Boris Karloff and your girl Elsa. It's either Lanchester or Lancaster. Either way, she is great as the bride. I heard that costume was rather cumbersome and made it very difficult for her to pee. Because she was wrapped up in all those bandages, and so she was like, I'm just not going to drink any fluids today. And your boy, Dr. Frankenstein, I guess, broke his leg, like, right before filming this. So a lot of his scenes are filmed where he is sitting down. It's just, a little Wikipedia research. But now you didn't wiki it. You got it from me. You're welcome. Yeah, you guys, I'm glad you checked out this movie this week. We're going to watch another spooky one. I'm going to pick one probably much scarier, so be careful. Maybe don't watch it too late at night. I don't want to give you any nightmares. But we're going to pick another one. We'll pick it tomorrow. Be sure to follow us at Filmstruck Film Club so that you can keep up with all these great movies that we're watching. October is always such a great month for movies because we just whack them out. Just a bunch of great spook fest movies. So yeah, much love. Groot will be back next week. So for those that just are here for Groot, I totally get that. He'll be back next week. Yeah, enjoy yourselves. And whatever the next movie is, I do hope it kind of scares us a little bit. So grab the popcorn and all that fun stuff. You guys are the best. Thanks for joining me in the hotel. All right, catch you later.